How MAGA Republicans neutered Congress. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's talk about this. I wanted to wait until, the four horsemen of the apocalypse confirmations ended before I could talk about it, but the Senate has given up its advice consent power. For people like Tulsi Gabbard to be the Director of National Intelligence, for Bobby Kennedy Jr. to be the Director of Health and Human Services, for Pete Hegseth to be the Defense Secretary, and for Kash Patel to be FBI Director. These are such unqualified, threatening positions that Congress, a Republican majority of senators, have allowed them through, and they are now the heads of the Defense Department, the FBI, the HHS, and Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So with each of them, there was enough information that the votes were more or less along party lines for all four of these. Because these four are the least qualified, most absurd nominations that we've had in our cabinet for a long time. Followed by Linda McMahon, who's the WWE lady for Department of Education, but that's not nearly as bad as Kash Patel for the FBI, who's now going to go after Donald Trump's personal enemies and Kash Patel's personal enemies. And even if they don't have any case, they're going to investigate and make people's lives hell. Pete Hegseth has already talked about millions in cuts for the next 5 years, every year. Doji's planning on going into the Department of Defense. Bobby Kennedy's throwing doubt on vaccines. And the person who will be giving the President of the United States, Donald Trump, the press briefings, security briefings on a daily basis, is considered by Russia to be a favorable person, and who sat with Assad, the former dictator of Syria, for tea, and who Russian state media favors and considers to be, an ally of Russia. So, just with these four nominations happening based on majority of the party, of the Republican Party, because it is the majority, it nominated completely around, confirmed completely along party lines. It's not common to have these high positions have such divisive votes and sort of get by the skin of their teeth. But that's what's happened because Senate Majority Leader John Thune has given up his duty to advise and consent the president on the heads of departments of agencies that are legislated by Congress. So their Senate has undermined its own role as part of a co-equal branch of government who has the power to say, no, not this outrageous, not these unqualified people. They should look at just the qualifications of the people. But instead, they capitulated to Donald Trump and his picks. They are also relenting the spending power. The fact that Donald Trump is shutting down and freezing the flow of funds that have already been appropriated by Congress is an overreach into congressional power. And if Congress was currently an operational body, it would sue and ask the Supreme Court to force the executive to spend that money because it was appropriated. And then they have the responsibility of creating laws and repealing laws and creating agencies, which is completely being sort of obliterated by Doge and Elon Musk going in and making cuts to personnel and budgets and overruling essentially the cabinet secretaries who are part of those agencies and who are Senate confirmed. Surely somebody who can overrule the cabinet secretaries who only report to the president has to be an intermediary who is also Senate confirmed and who doesn't have conflicts of interest by being one of the biggest defense contractors of the United States. He has to divest from those companies that are tied with those defense contracts. So Congress should be paying attention and investigating and conducting its oversight duties over these actions that take away from the legislative branch, the first Article 1 branch of our government, Congress, these powers of spending, of creating laws, of repealing laws, of creating agencies through law, of confirming through advice and consent. And, you get to a point where Donald Trump defies the Supreme Court. And what happens then is the big question. Will the Supreme Court go to states to ask them to enforce their orders? Or will that be the point of time where Congress has the tool of impeachment and actually uses it? I don't see a Republican MAGA Congress using the tool of impeachment against Donald Trump. I simply don't, even if he defies a Supreme Court order. So all the people who are saying that, don't talk about saying constitutional crisis. Well, Donald Trump, Doge, and Elon Musk in the last month have worked and successfully gutted departments that are legislated by Congress, that somebody who is not Senate confirmed or otherwise authorized by the legislature to do such actions on behalf of the president goes around and does it. They've just let him do it. They've just let them break laws and go through these agencies, cut personnel, fire people, freeze funding, and that all of that is overreaching into funds appropriated by Congress and laws passed by Congress. So Congress should be drafting up articles of impeachment if this was a functional Congress, but it is not. MAGA Republicans, under the leadership of Speaker Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Thune, have neutered our Congress. And so until 2026, we're going to see what authoritarianism looks like, completely unbound, with the exception of courts, if they really see the urgency and Supreme Court makes the ruling sooner or later, we'll come to see whether the constitutional crisis of Donald Trump defying the Supreme Court actually comes to head. I'd rather have it sooner than later, so I hope the cases go through fast instead of slowly like they did when we were trying to hold Donald Trump accountable. When I say we, I mean the DOJ and Jack Smith. So with that said, we have a neutered Congress, and thank MAGA Republicans for that. Stay up to date with the news. push your representatives and senators, even if they keep on voting the way that the Senate has with these nominations. Keep on asking why they're doing this, how these people were qualified. Keep on focusing on what they're doing and scrutinize their work. Remind them that we are the ones who formed the government by voting for them and that they work for us. With that said, thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe and share, and I'll talk to you soon.